Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we'll continue on our previous topic of what would happen when the Trump administration takes power. There are a couple of follow-up questions that my viewers wanted me to answer, such as H4 EAD, premium processing, extensions, stamping, denaturalization, and things to take care when you are going through your green card process. So some additional information and clarifications in continuation to my previous video. If you haven't watched that, please go watch that first and then come to this one. I'll also talk about December 2024 visa bulletin and what we can expect in the remainder of the year. So watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration and lifestyle related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Check out the links in the description because those are affiliate links, and if you buy anything using those links, the channel will get a little bit of a commission. And while you are down there, do hit the like button. I'm sending out those giveaways to 2 lucky winners by the end of next week, just before Thanksgiving. So add your comments. There were lots of comments in my previous video. Do continue to add them in this video as well, and like and subscribe to the channel. Now first let's look at the December 2024 visa bulletin. I don't think there is anything changed in the family based section, and also we'll take a look at the employment based section. So here is the comparative view. So here on the left hand side you will see the November visa bulletin, and on the right hand side you will see December 2024 visa bulletin. Now let's look at the family based section first. Let's see if you can spot any differences. So here is the final action date chart for family based section. As you can see, the F1 dates all remain the same throughout India, China, Mexico and Philippines. F2A dates also remain exactly the same. I'm not seeing any changes. F3B is also the same in the final action chart. F3 is also the same. I'm not spotting any difference, and F4 also remains exactly the same. Now let's take a look at the filing date chart, which is the chart that is used by family based section to file 485. Now F1, as you can see, I am not spotting any difference on F1. F2A also exactly the same, no difference. F2B is also the same. I'm not seeing any difference. F3 is also exactly the same, and F4 also remain exactly the same. So no change in the family based section. This either means that the Department of State has not given numbers back to the USCIS to publish them, or there is still some backlog that USCIS is dealing with. On the family based section side, most of the visas are given out at the consulates, which is Department of State, whereas in the 485 stage in employment based section, most of the visas are given out within the country and not so many at the consulates. So that is the difference. Until the numbers are given by the Department of State back to the USCIS, they won't show up in here. Now let's take a look at the employment based section. Now here's the final action chart for employment based section. Let's see if you can spot any difference. EB1, I'm not seeing any difference. It's 8th of November 2022 for China. India remains the same at 1st of February 2022, and all other categories remain current. EB2 also remains exactly the same, except for India it has progressed by about 2 weeks, from 15th of July 2012 to 1st of August 2012, which is good because the final action chart is expected to keep moving forward until it meets the filing date chart. So this is expected. I'm surprised that EB1 did not move at all. But let's look EB3. EB3 also remains the same for every category except for India. It moved from 1st of November 2012 to 8th of November 2012. 1 full week. Can you believe that? Anyways, moving forward, there is no change in the other workers category, no change in the fourth preference category, no change in the certain religious category, and absolutely no change down the chart. Now let's look at the filing date chart, which I'm not expecting any changes to happen, at least in the December. So as you can see, no changes in EB1, no changes in EB2, no changes in EB3, no changes in other workers, no changes in EB4, and rest of the chart also remains unchanged. Now let's look if there are any comments down below at the bottom. No comments on the employment based category.
And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video. Have you ever done the Google search of your own name? Look what I have found when I did mine. Here's what comes up. While some of this information is relevant, the other makes me uncomfortable that my information is exposed for a sale like this. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, or anybody else who may want to target you. Your full name, email address, home address, your relatives' names, health information, it's all out there. That's why I have been using Aura, sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out request for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Aura does so much more to protect my information and my family's information from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything for one affordable price. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving your back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to my link which is on the screen and in the description and start your free 2 weeks trial. So protect your information, your family, and have a peace of mind. That's Aura.
Okay, so that was the visa bulletin for December. As expected, there was slight minor forward movement in EB2 and EB3 India by 2 weeks and 1 week, but no change on the EB1 category. And I am not surprised because I was not expecting any changes in the filing date chart. However, I was expecting a little further movement on the final action chart, which we have seen in EB2 and EB3 but not in EB1. What does that tell us? That there is a lot of pending applications even from last year that USCIS is still weeding through. I do at least 10 to 15 calls every weekend and more than half of them are EB1. Now you will ask, how come all of these people are all of a sudden applying for EB1? That is because they know that these dates have not been moving forward, and until at least next year, which is October of 2025, these dates will not move forward any significantly. Now, as I said before, when the new administration comes into power on January 28th, that's when we'll start seeing any policy changes regarding any slowdown in the processing at the consulates, any travel bans, and so on. And that will have impact on the visa numbers that are utilized at the consulates. And those will trickle down into employment-based category, but that will take time. It will not happen until October of next year. There will be a lateral shift. Rest of the world, remember what I said, rest of the world, non-backlog countries, family-based categories, mostly the green cards are given out at the consulates. When those consulates start reducing the number of green cards giving out, those visa numbers become available in those lateral categories throughout the year. Even for rest of the world in EB category, if there are people applying at the consulates, those visa numbers will be unused and they will be flowing laterally into EB1, EB2 and EB3. So we might see quarterly progression or quarterly increases, but nothing until January or April or July. We might see big spillover in October of 2025, and that will move the dates significantly forward. It will be too early to say how many visa numbers will be spilled over and how the dates are going to move forward in October, but I am thinking it might be significant compared to what we have seen in the last few years. Now, before we go into the questions related to what might change in the US immigration space after January 20th, let's look at one article that has come in the USCIS alert. And that is this one. It says USCIS updates guidance on lawful admission of permanent residents required for naturalization. Now what they are saying is USCIS is updating volume 12, the policy manual to clarify that an applicant for naturalization must show that they have been lawfully admitted to the United States for permanent residence in accordance with all immigration laws in effect at the time of the admission or adjudication or adjustment. Consistent with the 4th Circuit decision, USCIS will consider whether a naturalization applicant was lawfully admitted for permanent residence or was lawfully adjusted to permanent resident status at the time of their initial admission or adjustment, regardless of whether they were lawfully admitted for permanent residence at the time of any subsequent re-entries into the United States. Now what they are saying is, when you do your naturalization application, USCIS considers how did you enter into the United States lawfully, whether it was lawfully or not. Now in the past, they used to consider every visit that you have made since you have been a permanent resident. Now what they are saying is the burden of proof is only limited to the first entry as a lawful permanent resident into the United States. And as long as that was lawful, you will not have an issue. The subsequent entries may be lawful or unlawful. I don't understand that part. How can you be a permanent resident and be entering into the United States unlawfully? Maybe there is some more clarification on it. If there is, I'll get back to you. Let me know what you think about this guidance. If you think that my interpretation is correct or incorrect, put down in the comment section below. Now let's jump into some interesting topics about what could change in the US immigration space once the new administration comes into power. Now my previous video, I had put forth a lot of different points throughout the spectrum of categories for immigrants that have entered into the United States, right from your visitor visa to work visa to H1, L1, your green card and your citizenship. If you haven't watched that video, do check out that video. It looks something like this. What I wanted to do, however, is address some follow-up questions from that video. Now let's look one by one. Now the question number one is, how will the Trump administration make getting US citizenship using N400 tougher for those with employment based green card? Now as I said before, the tougher part is going to be whether you are given the green card legitimately in the first place. So the burden is on you. How did you enter into the United States as a lawful permanent resident the first time? Did you provide any fraudulent documents? Did you obtain your green card through fraudulent methods? Did you fulfill the residency requirements? And did you have any inadmissibility events that would prevent you from getting naturalized? So those were the points that I mentioned. Now, other than that, I don't see how one cannot be naturalized if they have followed the law, if they have nothing else going against them. Now, your FBI file, your background check should be clear, your entry exit should be legal, you should have paid your taxes on a regular basis, the basis of your employment based green card should have been clear, it should not have been obtained through fraudulent activity. And as long as you have all that clear, I don't see any reason why you should not get your citizenship, which is N400. Now it used to take a long time. Nowadays it's only taking 3 to 6 months. They have sped up N400 naturalization form submission and then the process. Let me know if you have any more questions regarding the naturalization, its ceremonies, its process. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Put down in the comment section below or reach out to me using Calendly and book some time with me. Now the next question is H4 EAD. A lot of people are scared about H4 EAD. Remember, this H4 EAD did not exist before 2014. The Obama administration brought in with a regulation, not through the congressional approval. President made an executive order that went through the regulatory process, and that's where the H4 EAD started. Now, just as the previous president put it in place, it is possible that the new president or Trump administration might take it away. They tried for it last time around and they will try it again, is my speculation. Now it has to still go through the same regulatory process. It might take long time. It might have a lot of legal challenges to overcome. So I am speculating that even if Trump administration wants to revoke H4 EAD, it might be an uphill battle for them. So it might not happen immediately, and if it doesn't happen in the first 4 years, who knows, it will stay forever. So that's my speculation. Okay. Now another question is whether the premium processing fees will increase. In general, whether the fees will increase. And I think yes, it's always possible that the fees will increase. In fact, I would say it's highly likely that the fees will further increase. In fact, not just the premium processing fee, your extension fees, your initial application fees, your EAD, AP fees, your green card fees, your naturalization fees, all fees could increase in the next year or two. That is just my speculation. Another question is extensions, H4, especially H4 EAD extensions. Now, in the past, couple of years back, all the extensions for H4 and EADs were done at the same time when H1 extension was done. Then they introduced the fingerprinting for I-539, which is for H4. That delayed or decoupled H4 extensions than H1 extensions. Now what is happening is H1 gets extended, then followed by H4 extension, which comes several months later, and then H4 EAD. So it does not get processed together. That is the problem, and that has many people waiting for their EADs to renew, and sometimes face a situation of job loss because of not having a valid H4. I don't see that improving in any way. I might be wrong, but this might continue for a while. Another question is, some people said that I scared them about the stamping outside of the United States. The reason I am saying is it's just based on the history that you have seen in the past. There were delays in the administrative processing. So when you went for a visa stamping in US consulate in India or somewhere else, you have had to wait for many weeks or even months because of the administrative processing, which is 221G form. I mentioned that in my previous video. Some people were not so happy about it, but I wanted to reiterate that might happen again. So these are all the caution points that I'm telling you. It's up to you what action do you want to take now versus later. Now some people ask me what might change about H1b. Now I think there are a couple of things to remember here. If you think about what happened in the last time, is that there were stringent requirements put in for H1b, even for H1 extension. There used to be like whether the prescribed salary was payable by your company. Now there will be more documentation on behalf of your company to prove that they can pay your salary. The second is site visits. Site visit had spiked last time around, and I expect them to see again. Now site visits are made by USCIS to make sure that you are working in the place that you claim to be working in. Another thing is short term validities. So there was usually you are given a validity of another year or 2 year or 3, depending on your situation or how much H1b you have used up. But in the last administration, we had seen that shorter validity timeframes were given for after extension, some as little as 6 months that I had seen. Now that might happen again. So that was the reason I was saying, if you were closer to getting your extension done, do it now and get it extended for the maximum time and reduce the risk of having to go through that extension later on and getting the reduced extension validity. So that was just my logic behind telling you that. Now some people asked about the public charge. Now last time around there was a public charge debate, and this was valid for green card, not for citizenship but for green card. So when you are applying for your green card in your 485 final adjustment of status, public charge was something that was enforced further by the Trump administration, and I think that might come back. If you have availed some benefit or public benefits or government benefits that were paid by the taxpayer while you were on the visa, that could be held against you. Now I have made a specific video on public charge, and not everything is included into the public charge. Some things are positive and some things are negative. You just need to know what those negative things are that might impact your application. Now public charge is not, it is negatively seen, it is not the sole ground for your dismissal of your green card. Now that rule is not in effect yet. It's just a speculation that it might come again because we have seen that happen in the past. That's all. Now another thing is there going to be mass deportation? Yes, we are seeing it all over the news. We have seen President say it. We have seen most of his nominations say it. There is the border czar who is tough on immigration. He's coming back and he's going to do a lot of mass deportation. Now how they will do it, what they will do it, nobody knows. Some of the Indian citizens, Chinese citizens, South American citizens have traveled through the southern border into the United States illegally. Those were also at risk of deportation. That's all I can say. At this point of time, it's all news. We will wait to see what happens in the new administration. Another question is, will EB5 get impacted? I think it will get impacted. Every processing or processing times in general might increase. Now, EB5 is basically investment related green card, so it may not be impacted in terms of increased processing time, but who knows? At this point of time, everything is a speculation. Your guess is as good as mine, but tell me in the comment section below which categories of visas or applications do you think will increase in processing times. I'd like to know your thoughts. And the last thing I wanted to clarify is denaturalization. And then in the last video I mentioned about denaturalization, but I clearly told you that those were very far and few between cases where the green card was obtained fraudulently, where people had their green cards revoked, or there was misrepresentation, there was anti-national activities, and so on. So there are very specific cases where denaturalization will occur, and that's what I clarified in my previous video. Go back and watch it. And about birthright citizenship, again, it's in the constitution. There is a little bit of ambiguous language in that 14th amendment. That is what I think the new administration is going to hook onto and try to find ways. I think they are only going to target the birth tourism. So for instance, somebody who is 7 or 8 months pregnant, they conceal the fact that they are pregnant, come into the United States, give birth and go back and obtain their child the US citizenship. That's what I think they are going to target, or they are going to find ways to reduce that. So that's all. So that's the clarification I wanted to make. Everything is speculation at this point of time. We'll see what happens. There will be a lot of backlash, there will be a lot of pushback, and there will be a lot of lawsuits even if something happens, if there is any action in that regard. We'll see what happens. I'll be here to tell you all the news in details. So stay tuned to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Put a meaningful comment, because you will get into the giveaway that I will announce next week. And if you need to contact me, check out the links in the description and set up a call with me. If you like the content of this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.